How's it going, everybody? It's Daniel Pate with April, Texas. Out here, One Elm Vineyards, Brad Stewart, just outside of Lubbock in New Home, Texas. We're out here. Everybody's kind of getting ready for this time of the season for pruning as February and March roll in for Texas High Plains. And there's a lot of things that we can be looking for this time of the year when we're going through pruning. We're making cuts, which is what we want to do, but it's a great opportunity for looking at things like Eutypa, different trunk pathogens and things like that, because at the end of the day, healthy vines make killer wines, and that's what we want. And that's what guys like Brad Stewart are really making it their mission to make sure that every one of their vines is as healthy as possible. So if you're not familiar with Eutypa, what we're looking for is this little brown kind of pie shape. Usually it'll be a slice of pie shape, triangle type of deal, and we're looking for that on the wood. And as we go through and prune, we're looking for this. But you can also look and see what looks like really clean, healthy wood. Absolutely beautiful. And that's what we're looking for this time of the year. But when we have things like Eutypa, some varieties are a little bit more susceptible to it. And as growers, that's what we're always trying to watch out for. Things like Chardonnay, things like Sauvignon Blanc, even things like Tempranillo, and some Cabernet. A lot of times they're affected by Eutypa, and that can impact the health of the vine and the life of the vine. And that's not what we want. So our job as managers, figure out what to do about it. There's a lot of different options that we can be doing when it comes to minimizing the risk of Eutypa and other trunk fungal pathogens. So one of the things is coming through and pre-pruning all this, and then come back and waiting to finish prune the rest of it, because if it does get Eutypa somewhere in the shoot, that's okay. We're going to come back and remove it. But when you're finished pruning, there's also some risk. So rather than cutting way down here at the basal bud, at our second bud position, so basal 1, 2 for a 2-bud spur, rather than cutting here, we can go out and we can cut just below this knuckle. And those are actually great because it just helps give you a little bit of that distance. You don't get some of the vascular drying that goes back and impacts the bud anyway. And so you bought yourself some real estate in case you do get Eutypa. That's okay. We'll come back and clip this off later. There's a lot of places on a vine where you can find Eutypa. So some of it, you'll see it in wood as you're going through and pruning down. Go down to the buds you want, and so you want to be checking and making sure that these are healthy. That one looks good, all green, if it'll focus. There we go. So we can look for those things. A lot of times you might see it at the end of the vine, sometimes on these outer pieces here as you start to trim in. So last year's wood or the older cordon wood that you're pulling down. Another way that's great to go and check for it is to look at last year's spur position. You can check last year's prunings or last year's spur positions. That old wood, it's really easy to pick up. It'll usually be a dark brown kind of slice of pie, triangle type of shape that's really evident. So a great way to do that as you're pruning is looking at some of this older wood from last year. As you can see, I'll block out the sun a little bit. That is good. No issues, no pie shapes, no anything like that. So we're not finding any Eutypa. I kind of actually came out here thinking I might find some Eutypa today, and I have had a hard time finding Eutypa. So congrats to Brad, congrats to One Elm for really, really knocking it out of the park like they always do. You've done the steps that you needed to do. Your crew's been doing a good job making sure that you're leaving some distance between the bud and that cut. Well, now what? Well, part of the challenge with some of these prunings, and especially in Texas, is in California, it stops raining, sometime around March 1 or April 1, and it doesn't really rain again. But for us, that's not the case. Sometimes we get early spring rain, sometimes we get summer rains. And when I make this cut, if I'm making this cut on February 4th or February 1st, sometimes this will take 2 to 4 weeks for this wound to actually heal and for the vine to be able to protect itself. So one of the things that you can do that started to become much more commonplace in places like Napa when I was running the vineyard management company is we'll use products like a Vitaseal. Vitaseal comes in a couple different forms. It comes in a concentrate and a ready to use. And this is an organic polymer with essential oils that help speed up that curing process for those pruning wounds. Beauty of this is you can also tank mix it with other partners. Things like Tops and M are really good and effective against Eutypa control. You could even mix in Rally as well as Topsin, get solid Phomopsis control, things like that. That's going to help keep your trunks healthy, happy, and excited to produce killer wines, and that's what we want. There's a couple different ways to apply this. You can use a regular machine rig that comes and basically sprays it over the top of all the spur positions. But if you're a smaller vineyard or smaller grower, another great option is actually just getting a hand backpack sprayer and going through and just hitting the high points. There's a product that used to be used a lot that was called B-Lock. That's almost like a latex paint, but you have to dab every cut to get the coverage that you want. The beauty of the Vitaseal is it's a much more liquefied product, so you can put that in a little just hand pump backpack sprayer that's really affordable and come in and just kind of spray the top of the vine. So you're using an organic polymer with essential oils to help do that curing process and speed that up. Maybe drop that down to a week or two, so that if you do get some rain and Eutypa wants to sporulate and land on the top of these spurs, you've got yourself some protection. So it's actually going to create a film and a barrier and help cure that process. Now, if you have severe Eutypa issues, unlike this vineyard, you may want to tank mix something like a Tops and M or a Rally. That way you can kind of have some Eutypa control and really make sure that your vines are in a good spot. Vineyards like these with Brad Stewart, I haven't really been able to find any Eutypa in here, so something like just a Vitaseal spray, that way it's organic and it's really pretty innocuous, is a great choice. Sometimes maybe that's all you need if you don't have a lot of fungal pathogen pressure. And that's the nice thing about West Texas, is we don't have some of those fungal pathogen pressures that other places of the parts of the state have to battle and have challenges with. I know some of the questions for a product like Vitaseal is, when should I put it on? How should I do it? One great option is if you have a crew of folks, let's say 10 guys, 10 ladies, whatever it may be, you're going through, maybe you prune for half the day, and then one person starts to follow behind on the other rows and starts to spray and work their way back towards the pruners. So you want to get this product on as quickly as possible, ideally same day, next day, talking about a 24, 48 hour period, so that you can really get this product on, start to have it good and situated before we do get any rains and get some of the sporulation for things like Eutypa. Texas is not California, California is not Washington, and Washington is not Oregon. So a lot of what we're doing in the field is trying to see what we can use from other areas and what we can't. Sometimes we've got to mix our practices up a little bit and put our own Texan spin on it. So guys like Brad Stewart with One Elm are always looking for ways that they can improve, make sure that their vines are healthy and happy and excited, because healthy vines make healthy wines, and that's what we want. They've produced some killer Syrah for this ranch, some absolutely phenomenal Tempranillo, so we're really excited to see what 2020 is going to bring. Texas is an absolutely huge state, and so we're always trying to find a little bit better way to do things, and some areas have a little bit different needs than others. So if you're doing something different, seeing something different, let us know. We're always excited to hear about those types of things. Hope you guys have a good one. I'm off to my next stop. Heed the vine. We'll see you around.